Welcome back to the Alli from Corporate podcast. I'm your host, Alli from Corporate, aka Allison Peck. That is my birth name. Today we're talking about a very exciting topic, AI in the workplace. If you're not using it, you should be. If you think it's scary, it's not. Today I brought on a special guest, a very special guest, my husband, ladies and gentlemen, Rico Eggenberger.
Thank you. So thanks for having me on. Today we're going to talk about AI and how it can be used in the workplace. And I use AI for Allison's content. So we'll talk a little bit about that too.
Rico is my social media manager. He's my producer. He's my tech guy, my IT manager. He's my everything. I'm just the star.
Oh, thanks. Look at you.
It's almost like you're the AI in this video. You're like in the ethers because we can't see you.
Yeah, I know. I'm behind the computer, checking the microphones and everything, making sure it's okay. Mm-hmm. And we only have one expensive camera, unfortunately, to film this podcast. So
you're right. And there's not enough room for the both of us. I do want to mention before we keep going, my motivations, my ride or dies, my most favorite followers, and actually friends that I feel like I've gotten to know through DMs, comments, social media. Just name a few of them. Number one, Herschel. I know you're going to freak out when you see this. I wish I could be there to see your face.
Those are the day ones, right?
Those are the day ones. Melissa, Kathy, obviously, and Amber. Those are the few that come to mind. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, I just want to thank you. You should know that you have a bigger impact in my life and my social media than you probably know. When I'm filming these videos, sometimes actually I get nervous and I start the video over if I notice that I'm really nervous, and then I pretend like instead of looking at a camera, I'm talking to you guys. So what I'm trying to say is thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah, you really help out a lot.
Yeah. So
yes.
AI.
Yeah, AI. So you read an article that was really interesting and you told me about it. I was like, we got to make a podcast episode about this article about how to use AI in the workplace, because I think not every company is going to allow you to use AI and basically like streamline processes with using software as a working type deal. You know what I mean? When you...
Yeah. I mean, I had a company, or rather it was a project that I wanted to use AI for, but didn't feel like I could because the cybersecurity ain't it yet. I wouldn't say it's safe to use something like Bard or ChatGPT with workplace IP, intellectual property, sensitive proprietary information. So I caution you in this video, just knowing that one of you will try to use this for work. I hope you don't get in trouble. Just be careful what you put in there. Know that anybody could view that information or data if something with privacy happened to OpenAI, the makers of ChatGPT. So be careful.
Yeah, so if it's not in-house developed, you need to be super, super cautious and not be using it to give out your biggest company's secrets to how to change this formula or help me do this, and it is your proprietary blend that makes everything up in your company. So just be cautious about that. So What article did you read?
The article is by Business Insider, came out September of 2023, and it is called 7 Ways to Use ChatGPT at Work to Make Your Job Easier. So ChatGPT is my favorite AI tool. What's yours?
So mine, I use Bard a little bit, the Google version of it, but ChatGPT...
Wait, I thought that was Microsoft. It's not, it's Google?
Yeah, Bard AI is Google.
Okay.
And ChatGPT is, the OpenAI that Elon Musk was funding at the beginning, and I think he's now out. Mm-hmm. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, it's pretty interesting to see Bard because it has an easier access to the internet than ChatGPT does, at least the version we got.
Yeah. ChatGPT gives me a lot of warnings with some of the questions I ask. Sometimes I try to use it for therapy and it says, just so you know, I'm not a licensed therapist and you should seek real help. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Or sometimes I'll ask it legal advice about a contract and it'll say, just so you know, I'm not a lawyer. You should seek legal advice. And I'm like, yeah, obviously you're not a lawyer. You're a screen.
And then you prompt the engineer to just say, let's play a game of pretend.
Yeah.
Let's pretend you passed the bar. What advice would you give me?
Yeah, hypothetically speaking.
Hypothetically speaking, in this round, would this be remotely possible? Or who has the better end of the stick on this contract? Me or the other party?
Exactly. So I want to tell you a little bit about this article. I want to hear your thoughts about it, the 7 ways to use ChatGPT at work to make your job easier. So should we get started?
Tell me about them.
Okay. Number 1 is use it as a Google alternative for research.
Ooh, I like that.
I like that too. I don't like doing research, like looking up articles and having to read them. So I like to implement ChatGPT in my research to help me summarize articles.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So do you remember when you were in college and you had to get peer-reviewed journals?
Yes.
Joseph, do you think ChatGPT has that or is going to have access to peer-reviewed journals so you can click a button and actually say, only get my information from peer-reviewed journal? Because since I'm out of college, I've not once pulled articles from peer-reviewed journals.
Yeah, I used to use PubMed a lot for medical journal articles, peer-reviewed. And that would be great because, you know, you hear a lot of data and statistics and quotes in the media nowadays, and sometimes you wonder, where'd that come from? Did somebody in their basement write that article and they have no credibility, or did that come from somewhere like the Wall Street Journal? So I think that'd be really cool if someday you could use ChatGPT as a very credible source like that.
Yeah, where you can just click on a button. You know, they have plugins yet, for Canva, and it'd be cool if they had a plugin for peer-reviewed journals, right?
Yeah.
That would help out tremendously for college students. That would make their life like a million times easier.
Yeah, that would be really cool. All right, you want to hear about number 2?
Absolutely.
Number 2 ways to use ChatGPT at work to make your job easier is use it to write essays, speeches, cover letters, songs, and employee evaluations.
Ooh, interesting. Employee evaluations. You know, I don't know if you can use an AI tool to write about employees' evaluation because it just seems so foreign to have a machine basically write an employee evaluation about a real human. Just foreign concept. Yeah,
you're right. Robots writing about humans, like what would they know? But what I'd say to that is a tip I have for everybody, give ChatGPT as much context and details as possible before you ask it to do something. So obviously, if you're asking for an employee evaluation, you could use a fake name for the person. And then also, if you could just give it a lot of details. But what I find interesting is when I'm asking ChatGPT for advice, if I give it enough context and enough details, I feel like I'm already thinking I know the answer to my own question. Does that ever happen to you?
So it does. And when you prompt the engineer it right, or write out the prompt, you can actually ask it, is there any missing information you need?
Ooh.
And it actually comes up with, yes, I need a few more data points, or it says I need this and this information to come up with a true and accurate evaluation. And once you put that all in, I think we'd be doing the same thing. We just had a little longer to think about it and had to like formulate it on paper.
Yeah, I like that too. So one thing that I like to do with ChatGPT, instead of giving it a bunch of context and then its output being some big long essay, I like to use it in smaller chunks and more bite-sized pieces where I'll say, I'm going to ask you to do this thing. I want you to ask me questions for any context that you'll need to do a good job. You can ask me up to 10 questions. Ask me only one at a time so I don't get overwhelmed. So that's how I like to use ChatGPT, because sometimes you enter in a big question and then it gives you a big long answer. But
I hate when that happens. That's the craziest thing. It like spits out like 20 paragraphs and all you want is yes or no.
I know. So my most common follow-up to ChatGPT is, please make it shorter, which I thought I'd never say in my whole life. But I do tell robots that. You want to hear about number 3?
Let's hear it.
Okay, number 3 for 7 ways to use ChatGPT at work to make your job easier is use it to analyze vast amounts of data. Oh, this is an interesting one.
Data? how do you analyze the data? Because you need like plugins again, I think, to
You're absolutely, yeah, you read the
analyze
article,
data.
didn't you? Yeah. The article says you need plugins such as Code Interpreter, which I'd never heard of. What you do with that plugin is you can feed AI data sets and it can identify trends. So do you think that that would put data scientists out of a job?
You know, I think it's not going to make them obsolete, but it's going to bring down a team of 10 people to about 2, because you also need to check up on, you know, the numbers you plug in, and you still got to get them from somewhere.
Yeah.
So I actually did that with the census. I know that you can download some census on the plugin of ChatGPT, and you can make predictions about cities migrating and how much the population grew and if it's in decline or whatnot.
Whoa.
And it's pretty smart when you play around with it. If you want to go to YouTube, for these people that are listening, you can actually type that in, and then there's way more capable people that actually know the research, and they actually have these crazy plugins that they use, and it spits out a bunch of amount of data, and it's really interesting to watch. You can go down that rabbit hole.
Wow, that is so interesting. You could actually, if you're doing that with data sets from different cities, you could use that to make real estate decisions.
Yeah, real estate prediction, if this is going to be an upcoming market because people are moving there, or because people are leaving, so there might be more houses for sale. So yeah, and I think the same can be said for your company. So if a company uses those data sets, you can use those and make predictions about who your customer is, what time they order the most, you know, what they spend it on, and you can make data sets about everything, when they buy, what age they're at, and you can then basically use AI to tell you who your key target audience is.
Strategy. You can say, what strategy should I use for targeting this audience more frequently based on this data?
Yeah.
That's so interesting. This tool is so powerful, blows my mind. Remember when we first found out about it?
It was amazing. It was like, I think people couldn't stop talking about it for a month.
Oh, still. I think it came out in November of, I kind of remember it as November 30th of 2023. Correct me if I'm wrong here. But I just remember first being amazed, then being really curious, and then starting to be really freaked out. But as I've played around with it, I'm not freaked out anymore. I don't think it's so intelligent it could ruin anybody's lives. Not yet.
You know, I don't know if that's just the normal version, but I did read that it's getting better and better the more people use it. Yeah. And I don't think it's going to make a bunch of people obsolete, but it's going to slim down organizations.
Yeah, and I think it's going to take away tedious tasks.
Oh, and yeah, like just it's repeating it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to help people be more efficient and save time, so they can spend time with their families and work on their mental health.
I like that.
Yeah. You want to hear about number 4?
Let's do it.
All right, number 4, for 7 ways to use ChatGPT at work to make your life easier. Number 4 is use it for scheduling tasks, planning, and time management.
Ooh, I like that.
You could use a little bit of that, if I do say so myself.
Look at you.
So one way that I've used it for this wasn't work related, but I had an event to be at one evening, and I had so many hours to cook a meal for the event because it was a potluck, do my makeup, do my hair, take a shower. And I told ChatGPT what current time it was, what time I had to be at the event, how far away it was, and all of the things that I needed to do before I left. And I said, what order should I do them in? And how long should I spend on each one? Which ones should I do first?
Oh, that's really good. It takes the guessing. It kind of like makes you just be an autopilot rather than actually really thinking about it.
Yeah. And you could use that easily if you were a project manager at work. You could just say, these are the things that have to get done by this date. They each take this amount of time. These can happen in parallel. These can happen in series. This is a precursor for this. Give me a project plan.
So do you think that companies will develop their own AI, or will they buy like a version of ChatGPT for their organization?
I mean, ChatGPT is free, so why would they? Well, cybersecurity maybe.
Yeah, security reasons. You don't want your employees doing.
Yeah.
So they almost have to develop it themselves, or kind of like get a licensing deal or something where they can have their own version run internally or something on their own service.
Yeah. I'm seeing companies are doing that, like Solcon's Khan Academy. So I think ChatGPT is open source, right? You can just license it and then code with it.
That I have no idea.
Okay. If any of you are watching and you know about this, Alli, I'm talking to you. Let us know in the comments. We're curious. Yeah, would they have to start from scratch and build their own?
Yeah, it is ChatGPT is an open source, unofficial ChatGPT app. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I think any company can just use it and make their own thing from it. We should do that.
I wouldn't know what we would use it for, but yeah.
What I would use it for would not be work related. It would be, look at all the contents of my fridge. Tell me what to eat every day if these are my health and fitness goals.
There's probably going to be an app in the future that can do that.
Yeah. And if anybody listening thinks that's $1 million deal and develops it, I get 10%.
Look at you, hustler.
Would you like to hear about number 6?
Let's listen to it.
Okay. Actually, we're on number 5. Number 5, 7 ways you can use ChatGPT at work to make your life easier. 5 is use it as a second opinion around business, strategy, and customer decisions.
100%. Because whenever I say stuff, whenever I think about doing content strategy by myself, it always seems so great in my own head because I don't really think about it too critically. Because if you think about something long enough, you find objections, but you find a way around your objections. So if you type it in, they might have something that you didn't think about, right?
Yeah, that's really deep. That's real smart. Yeah,
Thanks.
You and I use it for strategy stuff all the time. We're about to start selling some things, a course and a book, which I'm super excited about. And I was asking it about product development and best practices and sales techniques and marketing, if you believe it or not. And it had some good things to say. Yeah. I know you and I and our good buddy Phil, we talk a lot about how to over-deliver and give 11-star service when selling anything. Under-promise, over-deliver. How to wow your customer. And so we were playing around with ChatGPT last night for, if I'm going to sell a book, what's a punch that I could pack with that where people would be like, this is a great deal? Or if I sell a course, what's 11-star service so people would just be blown away and want more?
Yeah, it's interesting that it can do that, right?
Yeah.
So.
But sometimes I can see, so you know how you and I get in these really curious moods where we're strategizing, bouncing ideas off each other for social media, and it's like we come up with mind-blowing ideas like earlier in the office?
Yeah, 100%.
I feel like ChatGPT has never given me a mind-blowing idea that I've never thought of.
Maybe they keep it to themselves. Maybe they're like, this is what the idea that Allison said.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, really. God.
I think ChatGPT comes up with the possible ideas that's actually achievable and not some revolutionizing, cancer-curing drug that nobody has thought about yet.
Yeah. I mean, I hope it gets to that point. That'd be amazing if it was more intelligent than us. Because right now I feel like artificial intelligence is a collective intelligence of the human race, but I want more than that. I want something we've never thought of before, Tell us how to build something that can go the speed of light that we haven't thought of yet.
Yeah, but then they're smart, then like software smarter than you, and so then it can like program itself. So then it gets into a whole like can of worms where you are not going to know what it does.
AI safety is really interesting.
Because then you need to think about what are the laws. Like when you watch iRobot with Will Smith, where they had like the 3 laws that no robot can hurt humans. And then at one point they turned on them because they overwritten their own code and interpreted it differently. So interesting.
AI ethics is a really interesting thing. Like who, if anyone, will hold the key to shut it down or override it? Yeah, that's a conversation for another day. Would you like to hear about number 6?
I would.
Okay. 7 ways of using ChatGPT at work to make your life easier. Here's number 6. Turn it into a coding assistant.
I heard people do that actually a lot.
Yeah.
That they just plug in the code, and I actually seen people on YouTube do it a lot, where they give them a code, they run it, and then, hey, check this, check that. If you're a developer, let us know in the comments if that's what you guys do.
And if you're scared you're going to lose your jobs, or if you're happy you have assistants like ChatGPT.
Yeah, that might be something interesting.
Yeah, really interesting. I've also heard that ChatGPT can find errors. Have you ever talked to a software engineer and they're like, oh, there's an error in my code and I don't know where it is, and then it turns out it was like a comma was missing. It can find errors in your code. I think that's really huge. If you're a developer or a software engineer or a programmer, which are probably all the same thing, comment below and let me know if you have ever had ChatGPT save your life by finding an error. Imagine the frustration you'd be able to overcome.
Yeah, that's pretty insane that it can do that.
Yeah. Have you ever seen ChatGPT make a mistake?
Not really, because it's like kind of focused on your input, and I've seen it not working. I've seen it being down, but I've not seen it giving like a false answer. I know it gives you sometimes the wrong answer because you ask the question in a wrong way, but I don't know if it can be wrong. So I see people actually, that I do know, that at the beginning it couldn't do like math.
Yeah.
Did you see those videos?
Yeah, I one of the first days it came out, the only thing I could think of was asking it was a simple math question, and it kept getting it wrong, and I thought, this stupid thing. We don't need to worry about this.
Because I don't think it knows the concept. I think it knows the concept, but not something like that. Somebody can probably explain it better than me then.
Yeah, but I definitely think ChatGPT makes mistakes, and if you're using it, this is another warning, always look over the answer. Never just copy and paste something from ChatGPT into something else and call it done. You can also, if you're using it as creative writing, sorry, what were you going to say? Yeah,
there was like a lawyer that used it in court, and it made up its own cases.
No.
And he was like laughed at because he brought up cases that it made up.
Oh, God.
So it didn't even use like real cases.
Okay, don't be like Bob. So read what it says, fix whatever you need to. Something I used it for today was for helping me with my book. But I said, here is an example of my writing. I want you to write me blah, blah, blah in my tone of voice. And I gave it a sample. So.
How good do you think that came out?
To be honest, what came out sounded really goofy, like a clown was talking. And I wonder if ChatGPT thinks I'm a clown.
Oh, gosh.
I know. It was,
to its knowledge, you probably are a clown.
I'll read it to you later.
All-knowing oracle. The all-knowing oracle. It can know anything
great.
Anything.
Great. All right. Do you want to hear about the final way that ChatGPT can be used at work to make your life easier?
Well, hit me.
All right. Number 7 is use it to apply for a new job or negotiate a raise. Obviously, my favorite one.
So what do? You say, I want a raise, and type it into ChatGPT and send the email to your boss and say, this is what ChatGPT said I should be making, so give me that raise.
I hope not. Here's how I would use it for negotiating a raise. Let's talk about that one first. So I would give it context. I would say, you're a career coach. I make $70,000 right now. I want to make $95,000 salary. Here are the skills I've developed at work. Here are the changes I've helped implement in my company, the goals I've helped my company reach. Help me come up with an argument for why I deserve $20,000 or whatever I said, $25,000 more a year. I would use it like that.
So are you going to put in the description in ChatGPT where you type in your job description?
You could even give it more context. I think the more context you give it, the better. But sometimes it gets a little eager to give you an answer. So I have to tell it, I have to be really bossy with it. I feel like it's helping me, set boundaries and work on my self-esteem, be confident. Because I have to be like, don't answer yet. Let me give you some context first. And then you ask me 2 questions and then I'm going to ask for the answer. I have to be like a little bossy.
That's funny.
Yeah. But this applying for a new job thing is interesting. There are so many AI tools out right now.
AI resumes, everything.
Yep. Standout is a company that we're working with right now. They do video interview prep where you can It'll ask you a common interview question. You'll answer, using their app with video, and then it'll use AI to assess your answer, and it gives you feedback. That's cool, right?
That is really, really amazing.
Yeah, that's called Standout. But applying for a job, you can ask ChatGPT anything, like name me 10 websites I can use for job searching, or you can say, I want to reach out to a recruiter who posted on LinkedIn about a job they have available. What should I say in my message? You could use it for interview prep. You could use it to,
What do you think the success rate is in somebody that actually uses ChatGPT to negotiate a raise? Do you think it's better with ChatGPT because you have it in paper, or is it better without ChatGPT to do it just because you feel like you practiced it a little bit, but with ChatGPT you have like factual data?
I think it'd be better with ChatGPT.
Okay, interesting. So you would say that when somebody is asking for a raise, they type in all their information and then it says, these are the things that I would highlight, and then just present that to your boss and say, this is A, B, and C, why I deserve a raise. Is that how you would do it?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on your boss, how they like to receive information. But yeah, something like that. I'd try to make it sound as human as possible. I definitely wouldn't print something out that ChatGPT spit out and hand it over to my boss and be like, hey, a robot gave this to me. How's about giving me more money?
Yeah, and it probably still has the lines when you copy and paste it, so he knows it's written by AI.
Okay, that's another thing I want to bring up. So have you ever noticed that when you copy and paste a response from ChatGPT into, say, a Google Doc, it has a gray text background?
Yeah, they should really fix that. They should
should, but also you should, if you're using ChatGPT, make sure to always reformat it, because I've noticed there's a certain format that it copy and pastes with, and you can tell if somebody sends you something like
Don't do that.
I had a funny story. There was a guy who I was doing career coaching with, and I suggested that he post every day on LinkedIn to help broaden his network and create a personal brand for himself. And I suggested using ChatGPT as support, not as the sole source of the info. But he went full-fledged. I love the guy. He definitely copy and pasted from ChatGPT into LinkedIn. And he said a recruiter messaged him and said, yo, bro, I can tell that you're using ChatGPT for your posts. And he went, how can you tell?
Oh, no, that is really bad.
And it's because his posts, he had copied, the little part at the bottom of ChatGPT where you type in, it says something like, type your responses here. He had copied that too.
Oh, no, he didn't do enough research or didn't do enough attention to detail.
I know. God bless his soul. But hey, we all learn. We're all learning how to use AI. There's no wrong way to do it. We're all learning. This is a freakishly cool and weird new tool. And I'm glad we talked about this today, because I know there's somebody out there who's going to listen to this who has been wanting to try ChatGPT, but they just either don't know how or they don't know what to say to it. So I hope we inspire at least one of you out there to just give it a shot tonight. It can do a lot.
Yeah, I would say give it a shot. Don't get caught. Be smart. Don't give away trade secrets.
Give it context.
The
more details, the better the output. And tell it what its role is. Say, you're an editor and you're helping me write a novel, or you're a career coach helping me negotiate a salary, or you're a project manager helping me schedule something. Like, tell it what its role is, and
then type away.
And then have at it. Well,
yeah, I think it's this for this episode. Like and subscribe. Hit that notification and let us know how we did.
Yeah, I will catch you later. This is Alli from Corporate. Out.